morning, good motherfucking morning. All right, so I'm here. Hi. Shit, I've been contemplating and planning this show probably for 4 to 6 months now. So we just gonna get this show on the road, all right? Pickup Game University, where the ball is ball and the players play. All right, the topic of this show is business structure. All right, business structure and a few other things that we're going to discuss. Business structure, business strategies, and business models. So we're going to discuss that. But first, be sure that you go and like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube, Pickup Game University. Also, go like our Facebook page, Pickup Game University. And the main hub of everything that I do is Research Design Agency, LLC. Be sure to go like us on Facebook and also on Instagram. And you should find links in the bio to my other Facebook pages as well. All right, so let's get down to it. Business structure. What is business structure? Business structure refers to the legal structure of an organization that is recognized in a given jurisdiction. An organization's legal structure is a key determinant of the activities that it can undertake, such as raising capital, responsibility for obligations of the business, as well as the amount of taxes that the organization owes to tax agencies. All right. Before making a choice on the type of structure, business owners should first consider their needs and goals and understand the features of each business structure. The four main forms of business structures in the United States include sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, and the corporation. All right, so a business structure basically describes the legal structure of a company that influences the day-to-day operations of a business. A sole proprietorship and partnership are simple to set up since they are not required to meet ongoing requirements such as shareholder meetings and voting. A corporation and a limited liability company provides limited liability protection to their owners, which serves to prevent the owner's personal assets from being sold off to settle the entity's debts and liabilities. All right, so what we're going to do basically is we're just going to briefly I'm going to briefly touch on and go over the four basic business structures. All right. No matter which business structure that you choose, I just want to say this first. You'll hear me say this periodically throughout any of the videos that you watch that I put out. Is always keep your business and your personal accounts separate. Have a separate account, even regardless of your tax structure. Even if you're still filing everything on your personal tax return, still have a separate account for your business expenses and for your, everything dealing with your business. Your vendors, any expenses that you have, any bills that you pay, any money that you make, keep a separate bank account. All right, this is gonna definitely be paramount, in doing business. Plus, it shows your professionalism, and also it shows that that you actually have a business. Okay, so once we dive into the different business structures, you'll see why I'm putting emphasis on that. All right, so starting with the first business structure, it's going to be your sole proprietorship. Now, I took notes. I've attended classes. I've watched countless of videos. I've done my thorough legal research, researching the actual laws behind business, the code, the IRS code, the tax code. I've studied that as well. So I've got extensive knowledge. Some of the courses that I've taken have been from those with the credentials that you guys are really actually looking for. or what you think is necessary, in which it is not. It just takes someone that's vetted and that has done the necessary research and that has traveled down that path, in which I fulfilled all three of those. All right, so let's go over the sole proprietorship real quick. Basically, sole proprietorship is the simplest business structure, and it involves one individual who is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the business. Also, from a tax perspective, the incomes and expenses of the business are included in the tax return of the owner. All right, the business is not required to file separate income tax forms from the owner, since the business does not exist as a separate legal entity. The owner is required to file a Form 1040, and the form must include Schedule C and Schedule SE for self-employment tax. There are several advantages to opting for a sole proprietorship business structure. First, it is inexpensive to start. There are minimal fees incurred when registering a sole proprietorship, and in most states, the only costs associated with running a sole proprietorship are business taxes and operating license fees. Business owners may also be eligible for tax deductions such as health insurance. Unlike a limited liability company, a sole proprietorship is not required to meet ongoing requirements such as shareholder meetings and voting or election of directors. On the downside, since it is not a separate legal entity from its owner, the owners will be personally liable for the debts, the liabilities, and obligations of the business. Now, I'm willing to go as far to say that 80 to 90% of the micro small business owners, I want to differentiate the two, because when you hear small business owner, all right, you can have up to 500 employees and still be considered a small business. You can be a mega multi-million dollar company and still be considered a small business. All right, so when I say small business, I'm referring to I don't even want to say mom and pops. I'm referring to the individuals that's doing their thing, that's hustling, that's out here, that took that step to actually form a business, and they're just an individual, somebody or a cousin, a family member, a friend. Those are the business owners, the small businesses that I'm referring to. And I don't like to refer to them as mom and pop shops, but because it kind of, it water your shit down. You know what I mean? It's a mom and pop shop. Like it's just not as important as $1 million or as a business that has millions of dollars in revenue. It's just equally as important, because, you're doing a great deed for society. You're employing somebody, even if it's yourself. It's helping you take care of your family. You're being a productive member of society. So we don't want to, talk down on the mom and pop shops. I just like to refer to them as micro small businesses. All right. So the sole proprietorship is probably 80 to 90% of the micro small businesses, even if you have your business structure as an LLC or an S corporation. You're still operating as the sole proprietor, because your business is not paying its own taxes. All right, we'll get more into that later. The partnership. The partnership is a form of business structure that comprises two or more owners. It's the simplest form of business structure for a business with two or more owners. A partnership shares a lot of similarities with the sole proprietorship. For example, the business does not exist as a separate legal entity from its owners, and therefore the owners and the entity are treated as one person. All right? When filing taxes, the profits and losses of the business are passed on to the partners, and each partner is required to report the information in Form 1065 with their personal tax returns. Also, partners are required to pay self-employment tax, depending on their share of the enterprise's profits. All right. Schedule K1, which records the profits or losses, should accompany Form 1065. A partnership business structure offers several advantages. When registering a partnership, there's little paperwork involved, and the partners are not required to meet the same level of requirements that limited liability companies are subjected to. Also, partnerships enjoy a special taxation arrangement where partners are required to report their share of profit or loss of the business on their income tax return. On the downside, the partners are personally liable for the debts and obligations of the business, and their assets can be sold off to pay the business debts. Also, disagreements may occur between the partners, and this may slow down the operation of the business. So again, a lot of people really are solo dolo out here with their businesses. That's just a fact. A lot of people, pick up a partner to try to scale, to try to expand, to try to make more money. I mean, it's a lot of different reasons why we choose to go into a partnership with someone. But a lot of times, these partnerships end up dysfunctional. People sue each other, people end up going to court, getting into it, fighting, shooting, behind the money, behind choices, behind what direction the company wants to go in, and all of that. So you be wise if you're choosing the partnership as the form of business structure that you want to go into. Now, after we get through discussing these 4 types of business structures, I'm going to touch on just a little bit the importance of business structures, which is the most viable business structure out of those 4. All right. And I'm going to also explain to you that even though I mentioned that there are 4 business structures, the IRS really only recognizes 2. And that's what's important. Paying your taxes. All right, who's paying the taxes? It's only 2. Either you paying the taxes or the company paying the taxes. All right, let's dive into the limited liability company. Well, actually, next we're going to dive into the corporation. All right, a corporation is a type of business structure that gives the entity a separate legal entity from its owners. It is complex and expensive to set up, and it requires the owners to comply with more tax requirements and regulations. Most corporations hire attorneys to oversee the registration process and to ensure that the entity complies with the state laws where it is registered. When an organization intends to go public through the issue of common stock to the public, it must first be incorporated as a corporation. Corporations are required to pay both federal and state taxes, while the shareholders are required to disclose their dividend payments when filing their personal income taxes. The main types of corporations are C corporation and an S corporation. A C corporation exists as a separate legal entity from its owners, whereas an S corporation may consist of up to 100 shareholders and functions in the same way as a partnership. All right, and if you'll remember, functioning the same way as a partnership is very close and very similar to a sole proprietorship, meaning that all of the income made from the business is reported on your personal income tax return. All right. One of the advantages of a corporate structure is the ability to raise capital. The entity can raise large amounts of capital by selling shares of stock to the public. Also, the business structure comes with limited personal liability, offering the owners protection against debts, liabilities, and obligations of the business. What does that mean? You own a restaurant, somebody come in, they get sick. They go to the hospital, they got food poisoning, from your restaurant. They stay in the hospital a week, looks like they're getting better, they take a turn for the worse, and they die. The family files a lawsuit against your business. You go through all the rigmarole, you go to court, at the end you file appeals, at the end of the day, well, not file appeals, but you lose the lawsuit. The plaintiff's family gets awarded $2.5 million for their suffering and pain that was caused by the death of their loved one from eating your food. All right? A corporation will protect you and your personal assets from being affected by that lawsuit. The only thing that they'll be able to go after is the business. All of the business assets, you'll probably have to liquidate, sell everything, but your personal assets, what you own, cannot be touched. All other business structures, there is no personal liability. The C corporation, or being taxed as an association as a C corporation, is the only way you can protect your personal assets. All right, it's the only way that you will have limited liability. It's the only way, regardless if you have an LLC, S corporation, sole proprietorship, partnership. The C corporation is the only way. All right, and I'll mention a little later on, there are other aspects of business that being a C corporation is only a privy to, or is only afforded the opportunity to partake in. All right, keep all of that in mind. On the downside, all right, a corporation is subject to more requirements such as meeting, voting, and the election of directors, and it is more expensive to form compared to a sole proprietorship or partnership. All right, so the next business structure that we're going to talk about is my baby. It's something that I would like to say that I've taken a lot of time to learn, and that is the limited liability company, or it's also known as an LLC. All right, so let's get to it. A limited liability company, or an LLC, is a hybrid business structure that combines the best of both worlds. All right, y'all know that Jay-Z. Oh, nah, fuck that. That Jay-Z, R. Kelly, they super hot with everything that they've been doing. Everything that's coming out about what they've been doing. Even with that Best of Both Worlds tour. They was on some fugazi shit with the kids. But anyway, it is the best of both worlds. It possesses the characteristics of both partnerships and corporations. It provides personal liability protection to business owners while reducing tax and business requirements. The profits and losses of the business are passed through to the owners, and each business owner is required to include a share of the profits and losses in their personal returns. And let me stop for a second, in which I should have said it in the beginning of the video, but I'll definitely have a disclaimer once I upload this video. Everything that I'm sharing with you guys is for educational purposes, all right? And entertainment purposes, all right? These are things, this is information that's widely available. It's information that I've learned on my journey, on my business journey, and I'm sharing it with you guys. But I have to say, just for legal protection, that you guys are not to take this information as legal advice, and to please consult an attorney or a professional CPA when deciding to make choices for you and for your business. Again, the information I'm providing is for educational purposes. I've educated, I've learned, I've thoroughly researched the information, and through my personal use, it's been 100%, 1,000% accurate. All right, let's continue. Also, unlike an S corporation, which is subject to the limit of 100 shareholders, there is no limit to the number of shareholders in a limited liability company. When registering a limited liability company, The entity must file its articles of association or articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State where it intends to do business. In some states, the entity may be required also to file an operating agreement, which is kind of like the business's birth certificate, I guess you could say. It's a very important document for the business, especially determining or depending on the business structure that you choose to operate under. All right. One of the advantages of setting up a limited liability company is that it comes with fewer requirements compared to a corporation. Less paperwork is involved, and the owners enjoy limited liability, which protects their assets from being sold to pay liabilities of the entity. A limited liability company is not subject to any limitation on the number of shareholders it can appoint. On the downside, a limited liability company is expensive to set up since it must register with the state where it intends to conduct operations. Also, the entity may need to hire an accountant and an attorney to ensure that it complies with tax and regulatory requirements. Okay, so we're going over all of the 4 business entities. All right, keep in mind, the IRS only recognized 2 of them shits. All right, that's the sole proprietorship, all right, and the C corporation. The LLC is a state-created entity. It's magical. It is, if you have an LLC and you haven't activated it yet, which is what I like to call activated. If you haven't activated your LLC yet, then you're missing out. All right, you're missing out on a lot. I know there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of disinformation out there to discourage you from operating your LLC as a corporation, but that's going to be the route that you need to take. Just continue watching my videos and you will learn why. It's the only way that if you have an LLC and you're not managing it as a C corporation, I'm going to say it again, you're missing out on all the magic. You're missing out on generational wealth. You're missing out on the opportunity to sell your business if you would like to sell your business. You're missing out on tremendous tax deductions, tax benefits. And in business, the IRS is your friend. The IRS wants you to do business. Please familiarize yourself with the code. I recommend any business owner, regardless of your tax structure, I recommend that you familiarize yourself with the code. I know it seems complex, in which it is complex, but you got to get through that shit. All right? All right, I'm going to end this video and just continue to watch. This is my first video, you know what I mean? I'm brand new at this, and we're going to get better, all right? So make sure, again, that you go to my Instagram page. It's Recherche Design Agency. You know, you can find it. Y'all see me sharing things all the time. So go like my page. Go like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. Pick Up Game University, which is the platform where I'll be delivering all of my videos. We're on YouTube. Go subscribe there. Go like the video there. Let's subscribe to the channel. Also go like us on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. Also, a Pick Up Game University Facebook group. So go join the group. Go search the group and send me a request to join the group. I'll be posting videos there. I'll be posting content there. Look, I'm busy. I do a lot, just trying to get my business off the ground, trying to figure out different ways to, to make this all come together. So, but one of the things that I've dedicated myself to is being consistent with getting in touch with you all. You know, my main thing, really my main goal is just wanting others to be able to benefit from knowing how to operate their business such as I have been. All right, and for us to be able to network, to be able to build our own communities. This is one of the only ways that we're going to be able to build our foundation solid, or we'll be able to do business with one another, in a formidable fashion. You know, that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal of my videos, is for me to be able to help benefit us all. All right, y'all have a great day.